Good noon. Thank you for joining us on the brown shag carpet. In case you haven't seen our new, I guess this would be a micro series, wouldn't it? This whole thing is a mini series inside a micro series. There's a lot going on.
It's part 2.
This is part 2.
This is series 2, whether it's micro or not. I don't know.
Micro series 2. Jesus in. In case you haven't heard about that, let's cover what we're going to cover in that series real quick. So can I have one of you tell me what exactly is going to be going on?
So we're going to cover talking as a family about Jesus in school, Jesus in politics, Jesus in media, Jesus in social media, and Jesus in social justice.
And then there'll be another half to it. So anyway, we've got lots of ideas for this one, because talking about having a biblical worldview with your family and being intentional in that is pretty important.
Yeah, so the next ones are going to be international politics, and like the idea that your home should be a source of information, reliable information for your kids and your teenagers, but it should also be a free and open place to have conversations about that. And how do we do that? And one of the things we wanted to talk about as parents, but also to those of you who are watching with teenagers and kids, is what are the boundaries? What are the rules for how do we do that? What are some expectations that we need to come to the table with?
So I think it's probably pretty similar to what the expectations would be with having that conversation with anyone, but being mindful of ages and things. So when you're talking with your younger children, it may not be particularly an intentional conversation you're having with them. It may be a conversation you're having and they are present. Or they may even be hearing one side of a conversation. And so especially with your little ones, you need to remember that they believe 100% whatever you believe and you say is true. So, and they believe that about you from the way that you live.
And they will quote you.
They will quote you straight up.
Right
Sometimes
through.
at church on Sunday.
Mom, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But so make sure that when you're talking about things that matter, that you're doing so with respect and kindness. Because whatever language you use in your body posture and your tone of voice, that all of those things communicate to them how they are expected to feel about that thing. I mean, easy enough right now to consider however you feel about Zoom school is how they feel about Zoom school. Right?
Absolutely. And so as your kids get a little bit older, there are some other things that you need to take into account, particularly around the ways that they stop agreeing with you 100%. And as parents, that's a difficult transition.
So when does that happen?
So I would say they begin to entertain those thoughts in most families between 5th and 6th grade. By 7th and 8th grade, they're beginning to work those things through. By their freshman year, they are actively beginning to hone their own beliefs, and they are really beginning to enunciate those beliefs and hold their own positions generally between freshman and sophomore year, and that begins to crystallize for them in their junior and senior year. Would you say that's accurate from what you've seen? Drew works with our junior high folks.
As a youth guy, I would say that, our older students are probably more important than our little. I wouldn't say that. That was me messing with you.
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
But and fair to say that there is a certain amount of grieving that happens for parents when that happens. It's difficult to see your kids begin to take views that differ from yours. And while I can totally relate to that, we're not trying to launch carbon copies of ourselves into the world. And even if you are, and goodness, I hope you're not, realize that if you launch teenagers into the world who swallow whole anything that's being taught, that's a problematic place to be. And learning to be able to question authority respectfully, to dig for more answers, and to allow our teenagers to do that is the way that we teach them to do that with the authority in our world. And so we're going to be talking about issues where as your kids move across that age span that we talked about, you can expect them to have different positions from you. And I would say, A, don't be alarmed. That means you have healthy thinking kids. B, be open to what it is that they have to say. And C, present your views in a clear way and show them why you believe what you believe.
We're always pinning it back to your faith.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't just say because Jesus said so. Like, go back to Scripture and be able to look at that and allow them to push back. But on this one, it says this. So where do we go with this? But always pinning, well, this is what we say to your faith, to Scripture, because that's what makes it a biblical worldview versus just this is what we think.
And I'll leave you with this. I hope that your kids and your teenagers are going to come out of these conversations with their families with lots of aha, now I get it moments.
And everybody learn.
If, as a parent, in these conversations, you don't have at least a couple of, I have to think about that moments, you might be doing it wrong, because they have incredible insight about things that are happening in our world today. So go into this with an open mind, regardless of who you are and regardless of how old you are, and you'll come out of it better engaged as a family, more deeply rooted as a family, and closer tied to your faith and hearing more from God through your kids. He does speak that way.
Yep.
Well, I'm personally excited. It sounds like we're going to get pretty deep these next couple videos.
I am actually really excited.
Corey's very excited.
I'm excited, probably not as excited as you are. There's a couple topics that are going to be like me sitting very quietly over here doing.
Me too.
Christina Travis came by and helped us reorder our set so it's nicer for you guys to look at. And we decided that in these topics I should sit back and look relaxed so that perhaps I will speak that way.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Well, we look forward to learning with you.
Bye. Bye.